So, what is the best evidence for God? And it might not be what you think. I was at this recent discussion for some of the students. We did it over at Queen's University, and I asked that question of people, and a lot of people ended up saying the same thing, and it wasn't what I expected. So I have a range, and when you hear what it is, but I have a range of evidences that I like to have studied out over the years. I got them all in an acronym: FAITH, F-A-I-T-H. F stood for first cause, the cosmological argument. A stood for anthropic principle, so like the fine-tuning argument. I stood for injustice, the moral argument. T stood for testimony of the disciples of Christians. And then H stood for history of the Bible, the Jesus, the resurrection, and many other things as well. So I had all these 8 or 9 different evidences in my mind as to what do you find the most convincing. And most people ended up saying something I didn't expect, which is kind of in there a little bit maybe, but not really what I expected. And most people said it was actually personal experiences. So personal moments with God, moments in their lives where God had spoken, maybe not an audible voice, or he had done something, or answered a prayer, or moved in some way, or came out of the blue maybe, in a way that really surprised them. So anecdotal evidence, if you like. So not something that you could maybe hard and fast, prove in an experiment per se. But it's a very common theme in Scripture, though, this idea that God reveals himself to each of us personally, and that might end up being the thing that most convinces us that God is actually there. John 8:31-32 says, "To the Jews who had believed him, Jesus said, 'If you hold to my teaching, you're really my disciples.' But then he says, 'Then you will know the truth, and that truth will set you free.'" He said earlier in John 7:17 something similar about, anyone who chooses to do the will of God will then find out if my teaching is from God or not. So it's experimental. Go and put it into practice, and then you'll know that it is actually true. So anecdotal evidence stood out as the thing that was most persuasive for people. This is what helped me believe in God the most. And when I thought about it, I'm like, I was exactly the same. It's the ongoing experience of God in my life that I testify to that has the most powerful impact of convincing me. I love all the arguments, and I get into those debates with people who are maybe more scientifically minded maybe, or intellectually minded. I love those discussions, and I'm convinced by the evidence anyway. But it's God personally working in my life and in the lives of other people that I think holds the most persuasive power. But what does that then mean for non-Christians and Christians today? The idea that personal experience, anecdotal evidence, is the most powerful evidence to testify to God in our lives. It might always not transfer to other people so well, because it's our